right, we are live on Facebook. It appears. You never know. I always, it's always a crapshoot. Sometimes I think we're live and we're not live yet, but we are actually live now. So, guys, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Michael Hellickson. I'm with Club Wealth. I'm the founder of Club Wealth Coaching and Consulting. We're the #1 coaching and consulting company in the team brokerage space. Here's the real key, though. Today we have Coach Jayson Burtch of Southwest Florida, and Coach Jayson. What tier are you in now, Coach Jayson?
Tier 3.
He's in tier 3. That means he's closing between 75 and 150 transactions a year. And we're not here to talk about the good stuff today. We're here to talk about the challenges. I think in this business, it's all too common for people to, have this Facebook lifestyle, right? Oh, everything's great, everything's perfect, blah, 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 blah. Screw that, man. Tell me what sucks. Tell me what you're struggling with. Tell me, what's hard and how you're overcoming it, because I can learn a lot more from that than I can, oh, I posted this thing on TikTok and sold 30 houses from it, right? Like that doesn't help me. Tell me what's really going on. So, Jayson, first of all, thank you for joining me on Club Wealth TV today. Tell me real quick, number one, when you joined Club Wealth, where were you at? How many transactions were you closing a year?
This is going to sound opposite of everything that you probably heard, Mike. I probably need to go a step further behind that. I was in a different coaching program and had a falling out. Coaching completely changed my business. I'd been in the business for 15 years, was the typical agent, 15, 20, 25 deals, not doing nearly my potential. Got into coaching, blew my business up. 21, I had a fallout with my coach in that organization. We were the #1 team in the globe for Century 21. And we were competing against teams with 20 agents, and there was 3 of us.
Yep.
My problem was I'd gone backwards. I'd lost the work-life balance. And at the end of the year, they're all patting me on my back, and I'd never felt like such a failure. I hadn't seen my kid. I hadn't seen my family. So I got into coaching to streamline my business and to get a little bit that work-life balance back. So we're actually down from where we were. But again, that was a COVID bubble and a perfect scenario in the perfect part of Florida for that time. But we are more profitable, which is obviously volume over. I'll take profit over volume every day and twice on Sundays.
Okay, I love what you're saying here. So hold on, I want to put this in. So profit is up as well as time with family. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's always a struggle. It seems like you get the time with family, then you start dipping a little bit, so you do more, and then I think that's a pendulum that's always kind of shifting on you, but definitely better than it was, way better than it was.
So, and I'm curious, who was this other coaching company you were with prior to?
Tom Ferry.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I like Tom. I think Tom's a good guy. I think he means well. He's done a great job building an amazing coaching organization. It's huge. You got to give the guy.
Everybody I sent over there, everybody I recruited over there hated their coach. I
Really?
loved my coach. I was very fortunate. I think the majority of their coaches are so far from the business that, and I'm not trying to talk bad about other places,
No.
but just the truth. They're so far from the business now that they knew how it worked 5 years ago, and they've got this one plan that's supposed to work for everybody. And that's what I fell in love with when we came over to Club Wealth was, one, it's not 30 minutes every other week and you're on your own the rest of the time. I mean, we were just getting caught up on our call, and now the call's over and I'll see you in 2 weeks. It's the constant, and then having the tier. My coach was 5 levels ahead of me, having the person that's 1 or 2 that was just recently through what you've been through to walk you step by step through what's currently working for them and what they use to get through that has been pivotal for us.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because truth be told, like it doesn't do me good. Like, or if somebody's in tier 1, they're doing 0 to 25 transactions. It doesn't do any good to have me as their coach, right? Because I haven't been in tier 1 in 35 years.
It's gonna be overwhelming. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm gonna be like, hey, there's this great lead source over here. It's 10 grand a month. You should check it out. And they're like, what? Are you kidding me? Like that wouldn't work for them, right? And so that being said, we have coaches who were just in tier 1 last year and they're in tier 2 this year. And so, it really, to your point, it makes a big difference to have a coach who's recently been where you are now and made it beyond that. I agree with you. I think that's.
And then the immersion, Mike, doing an hour a month is nothing. You can't get it. The immersion where you can do 8 hours of live calls every month, 10 hours probably if you do some of the specialty niches. There's just a world of difference in that. And then all of the resources I've never had when I was with them for 3.5 years, I never had anybody reach out to me about helping me with a specific system or issue. It's a monthly thing. On one of the group calls, somebody will hear you're having a challenge with your CRM. Oh, I use the same CRM. Let me walk you through that. And you're on the phone 30 minutes later. It's been just a completely different experience, and we can't imagine going anywhere else.
I love you for saying that's nice of you to say that. And I got to give a shout out to everybody in Club Wealth. I mean, it's really you think about the community here, and
Mm,
I think what we really have here at Club Wealth is you've got a lot of just really, really humble, good people that just happen to be very successful, right?
yes.
And I think that we've been really fortunate. I think when people start getting that, and people do, everybody goes through the pride cycle. We all do. I do. We all do. Where we kind of get, puffed up in our own, success or whatever. Kind of like you were talking about, at one point in time, people are like, oh, you're doing all this business and blah, 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 blah. It's so great. And you must be the best. And it's amazing. And blah. And you're just like, dude, this sucks. Like my family life
Yeah.
is just taking a hit, right? It's just,
Yeah.
and so, I love that, when people kind of get into that prideful cycle, they just kind of find their way out of Club Wealth. And sometimes they come back, they get humble again and they come back. And that being said, to your point, and I want to say this loud and clear, I hope everybody that hears this and is watching this hears, no success in the world can compensate for failure in the home, right? I mean, that's our core value at Club Wealth, right? And you're living that. I mean, you went from this environment where it was success at all costs. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of coaching companies out there like that, right? They're just, big numbers at all costs. It doesn't matter what it means to your family. It doesn't matter what it means to the rest of your life. And what happens is that the rest of it gets lost. You have figured out that, look, you know what? I'd rather profit more and not work quite as much and be able to spend more time with my family. That's a better lifestyle. And I don't need the
It's a
accolade.
better quality of business. What we found when we were turning that volume was everybody was a number. Our repeat business from customers from those couple of years are not even close to a fraction of what they were previously and since. Because again, when you're turning that kind of volume, everybody turns into a unit. They're not a person. And we did not care for that either. Again, there was a lot of personal things going on why we had to change it, but it was also affecting just the way I felt about the industry.
Well, and that affects how you treat everybody, right? Whether it's your clients, whether it's your team, whether it's your family, that permeates every part of our lives, right? And so, I think that's really pertinent. I hope that people are hearing this loud and clear because it's easy to get caught up in that. Yeah, and so tell me some of the things that you've done differently since then, since you've now been in Club Wealth. What are some of the things you've done differently that have helped you to put your family, as a higher priority, to, be more profitable and to deliver greater value to obviously to your sphere of influence and your clients?
Again, so I hate to use this term, but it's almost like even time blocking with your family.
Mhm. Yeah.
I used to be out of the house before my son got out of bed. Now, well, he's on summer break right now, so he sleeps in later. That's his, but usually every morning we're spending 30 minutes together, and I don't leave the house until after. Therefore, we have those 30 minutes. And then same thing at night. Get home and I made a point that we were going to eat dinner together. And sometimes that dinner's at 7:15, 7:30, and he has to wait, but we eat dinner together. And then I penciled out Saturday afternoon. Saturdays tend to be busy in our market. But Saturday afternoons, him and I go and do something together. And over that 18 months where I was doing so much success, both my brothers passed away and my dad passed. And I didn't even have time to grieve it. There was so much going on, so many people relying on me. It was right back to it. And then when the third one hit and there was like nobody left, it was like, okay, I can't do this to my son. And so it had to be revamped. So now even sometimes he comes and sets up signs with me. We're putting up signs. I'll make him come put up the signs with me just so he's hanging out with dad in the car, doing something. But we make that a priority. And then we do family trips. I pencil them in. I don't care what's going on. The world could be crashing. We have these 3 family trips that they're 3-day weekends, whatever's going on. And before we would cancel, we would move things around. We would shorten trips, to make sure the business was taken care of. A lot of it, one of the stuff that really made me do is figure out, and I know we've talked about this, the ego is the number one thing about giving something up. And I would not rely on other people, so I wouldn't delegate enough to that I could take those days off. And 80%, what's your line there? 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get somebody to do it 80% as well as you can, that's a victory. 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's hard for people to give up control in that way, right? I mean, it's
Well, I've had the same assistant through the swing here, and she's like, no, you used to have a serious issue about delegation. Now you almost over delegate. She goes, because
good,
yeah.
good. I would
So,
much rather over delegate, right?
that's right.
Well, and it's interesting. I hope that people are getting this message loud and clear. And let me back up. There are certainly people in this business that need to freaking work more. They need to put more
Oh,
effort into the business. There are certainly those. But the kind of people that you and I deal with every day, the kind of people that we're coaching, I mean, the average person that has a coach is already doing 8 to 11x the average agent out there, right? And
mhm.
so, the average agent without a coach. So you and I are already working with predominantly pretty successful, driven people, right? So that tends to not be the problem that we have to deal with. The problem that you and I have to deal with more often is we got to get these people to take a break once in a while. We got to get these people to not only to take a break, but to actually put their money where their mouth is and actually make their family a priority. And that's very
Well, and
go
I'm going to
ahead.
give you a perfect example of that
Yeah.
because we were struggling with that. Coach Liz is my coach, and I was supposed to be taking a 2 week trip to Italy, and because our business numbers are behind, I canceled it. We're behind on recruiting, we're behind on, and she told me I needed to be doing something, and then in a very soft tone, I said, "Well, I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't." And she leaned in and said, "Jayson, when you put in for that time request off, who is it that's telling you no?" And it was okay, so we're still dealing with that. There's always going to be that struggle. I think as successful people, we always feel like we're not doing enough. And like you were saying, ironically, the people that don't do enough are usually feeling like they're doing too much.
It's interesting. I was watching, God, what was it? I saw something with Warren Buffett. It was an interview with Warren. I was reading about an interview with Warren Buffett, and somebody was talking about his schedule, and they looked at his schedule, and there was like 3 things a week in his schedule. Like literally, there's like 3 things, and the rest of it was just empty. And at first, it gave me anxiety when I heard this. I'm like, wait, what? Like, because I'm that guy. My schedule's just packed all the time, right? And except when I'm on my, when I'm off. And I should say for the vast majority of my career, my schedule's just been packed, packed, packed. And I got to tell you, Jayson, I'm kind of I've been feeling it in the last few years. I've really made a shift in the last few years from, success at all costs. And I'm going to preface this with I've been blessed that, Tara and I have made some good decisions. We bought a lot of rental properties, and because we bought a lot of rental properties, I don't have to work today. But people that are wired like you and I do, we don't work because we have to. We work because that's who we are. That's how we're driven, right? Like we're ambitious. We want to get out there and we want to do well and we want to bring value to the world, right? Well, much like Warren Buffett, and I should say that's probably an exaggeration. Let me rephrase. I'm striving to take a lesson from Warren, and I'm starting to look at my schedule. I'm starting to say, well, what's really got to be me in that schedule? What
Yeah.
what really has to be conversations with me, and what can somebody else be doing? And so for me, it's not even a matter of can they do it 80% as well as I can. That's the way to get most people to learn to delegate. But I'm getting to the point now where, look, if it doesn't absolutely have to be me, it's not going to be me. Right? Like I want to spend more time doing things I enjoy. I want to spend more time spending time with my wife. That's where I spend most of my time is with her. And even when I travel for work now, I take her with me. Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's
Can't blame you.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we're like,
What
I'm
else are you
52
gonna
years old. At what point am I going to start spending
do?
some time doing stuff I enjoy? I mean, I'm 52. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, so I love hearing what you're saying. And guys, I hope everybody that's listening to this, I really want you guys to get the message that, look, we'll help you be more successful. We want you to be more successful. And yes, absolutely, you should work your butt off. When you're at
I'm
work,
still the hard.
really
I
work.
think if you asked anybody on my team, I'm still the hardest working person here. I'm first one in,
Yep.
last one out. And on weekends, I don't shorthand. I don't ask them to do things I'm not doing yet. I think you get to tier 5 or so, you probably have people that are in my position that can do that. At this point, I'm not going to ask you to do any additional work that I'm not doing. And I think you get a lot more respect that way too. My people can't complain about it. when they see me out there putting up 28 signs. I'm not asking you to do something I'm not doing.
To your point, I had that conversation with Austin when he first got into the business, and I said, "Look, dude, you're 19 years old. Nobody's going to respect
Oh,
you.
yep.
Nobody's going to think you have a clue about what you're doing. They're all going to start, any little bit of success you have, they're all going to say, well, that's because your dad and mom have been so successful in the business, blah, blah,
He would
blah."
have been better off changing his name.
Right? That's no, truly,
I
truly, for a lot of
know.
reasons. And I said, look, the only way you're going to be respected in this business is you got to go out there and be the biggest baller on the planet.
And he is.
And you're going to have to do it without me. Yeah, I said, I can't be your coach. I said, you're going to have a different one of our coaches because, again, it can't be because of me. It has to be because of you. Otherwise, nobody will respect it. And so he
I
did.
use them as an example with our team all the time. And then the
Yeah.
agency's training. I'm like, we got a 23-year-old kid out here recruiting people doing 8 deals a month, and I can't get 4 out of you.
Dude, you're exactly right. Yeah, I mean, and you look at, and this is the thing. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there that kind of go through the motions, right? They show up at the office and they'll
Yeah.
hang out and they'll chit chat. But there are very, very, very few people on this planet that will get in there, and the second they walk through that door at the office, they're game on and they freaking work their butts off. And then when they leave the office, they disconnect and they go spend time with their family and doing the things that they want to do. It's really tough to set those boundaries. But Jayson, I love where your head's at and I love what you're working on right now because what I'm hearing is that you're doing a very good job of setting those boundaries, and you may be
I'm
working
doing a
at
better
times.
job, Mike. I wouldn't say I'm doing very good. I'm
Okay,
doing a
so
better
tell me about
job.
that. Where do you think you could do a better job? I'd love to hear that
I need to be more efficient.
during
That's
your
all
time
I
at
say.
work.
I need to be more efficient so that more gets done so that I can feel better about going home because I won't go home until I feel like there's been enough done.
Okay,
So
I
yeah,
like
I
this
can do better.
conversation. Okay, this is good because I think there's a lot of people out there that feel just like you do. So Jayson, help me understand this. What are things that you're doing right now in your business that you feel are inefficient, and what are things you can do to increase efficiency inside your business right now?
That's what we're working on. And a lot of the stuff is I've been doing this 24 years now. I've never taken recruiting serious, so it's almost so now I'm trying to add in a whole nother, book of business into what I already do. And we've learned that that's the end game. We've got to get our numbers up. We've always liked a small, efficient team. Unfortunately, the volume is the only way to really do that. We've got to ramp up how many people we have. We've also been very good at building out our systems to the point now where our agents are begging for more help, that they cannot keep up with the leads, with the expectations that are set for the leads. So we're also handling the overflow while also trying to recruit, while handling our normal business, while keeping the streamline of listings coming so that everything else feeds itself. And so it's trying to bring all of these things together. And at the end of the day, you can always see 3 or 4 things that just need a little bit of a touch up. Let me finish this and let me finish this so I don't have to start it tomorrow. And I would say that's it right there. Is just figuring out how to condense that and wrap it in a bow for the next day and be ready to go.
So all of that, the number one thing that you can do to really move the needle in the business is what?
Recruit.
That's right. That's exactly right. When you think about what's the highest and best use of your time.
And again, it's taken me a lot to come around to that because I have not seen the production out of the agents we've recruited that generated the time that it took me away from production to recruit. But you and I had a nice long conversation, and I said, there's no sense paying for coaching. You got the number one agent in the globe for a few years, and then you don't take his advice. What was the point of taking the call if you weren't going to listen to the advice? So it's been about 3 weeks since then. We've been all in on recruiting since then, and it's taking up a good chunk of my day for sure.
So how's it going? Let's talk about that.
One, we lost one due to a health. We brought her in. She loved it here, was doing really well. 3 contracts in 2 weeks. We lost her due to health. Her doctor won't she can't be driving people around, whatever. We got another one starts Monday. We got 2 more that are going through licensing right now that want on. We're still making them go jump through some hoops to make sure they'll be a good fit. And I've got 2 interviews this afternoon and about 3 more in the pipe here to set a time with.
Okay, so hold on. So we're making some progress.
Oh, we were interviewing one person every 3 weeks or so before. So
This is fantastic. Now, here's the thing. One of the things I want everybody watching this to hear this loud and clear. Guys, going out and recruiting people to your team does not mean they're going to make you money right away. I mean, it takes 6 months for them to be productive. And so, guess what you've got to do in the meantime? You still got to keep your production up in the meantime
Yeah.
because your production is
Pays
what's paying the
bills.
bills. Yeah,
Pays bills.
that's right. And there's no substitute for that. I mean, you got to do that. So it's really tough. And this is why we always say like tier two and tier three are tough, right? There and it starts to get better toward the end of tier three. It starts to get a little better. But I'll tell you, tier two is really tough. If you're trying to build a team in tier two, it's really tough. Tier two, by the way, is 25 to 75 transactions a year for those of you that aren't aware. But that said, so how are you working these in? So first of all, what are you doing specifically for recruiting? Are you calling agents? Are you visiting them? Or what are you doing to recruit?
No, I'm not recruiting anybody that doesn't throw a hand up that they want on the team. We created a really nice video that amplifies the advantages of the team and the opportunities that we have to offer. We run the ads on the different platforms, Indeed being one of them. As soon as they hit on it, they get the video emailed to them. And we've gotten a lot of response from the video. The other thing, we originally were running two different ads, and my coach had me split testing them. We were going to hire a licensed admin that could also help fill in holes here and there. We didn't get any good applications the first week, so I jumped the gun and we hired a VA to handle the additional admin work that we needed in-house. But we noticed that there were so many agents coming through there because in our market it's very, very flat, suppressed right now, that agents were really reaching out. So we've been able to recruit two or three agents that are in the pipeline right now off of, well, instead of the salary, look how many leads we're going to be able to provide you. I could give you a salary, but it's going to be less than half of what you'll make by just coming on and doing X, Y, Z. So we've left the ad up. And so again, we get it is about 3 to 1, 4 to 1 of the applicants are on the one that shows, for a licensed admin.
Mhm.
And then they get hit with the video, and then we just try to recruit them over. And again, we keep telling them, yeah, I could offer you $30,000 a year, or you can come over and look what our other agents are making, working these platforms.
Well, and that evidence of success is huge. The fact that you can turn to, these agents on your team and say, "Hey, look, this is he's been here this long. This is what he's done. If you do, and this is what he's doing every day to accomplish those numbers. If you followed suit and did something similar, your results should be similar."
We've got an agent right now came over. He was with our company, just in an individual office, not on the team. We recruited over. He did 2 deals over 18 months. We recruited him in. He has 8 closings so far this year
That's
in more
awesome.
books. So that's the first thing we point out is, and hey, he'll come in and tell you, in the interview. And yeah, I mean, our agents are some of our biggest supporters of recruiting, which also helps. There's no competition within the team that's, unhealthy or anything like that. They all want to see the whole team grow, and they see the benefits of the team growing.
Well, and they understand that, look, there's going to be people at all different levels. We're going to have some A players, we're going to
Yeah.
B, C, D players, whatever. And people are going to kind of fall into the category they want to fall into. But at the end of the day, the more we bring more A players onto the team, the better it makes all of us.
Yep.
And the more listings we've got out there, the more transactions we got out there, which gives us brand recognition, which helps everybody so that when they're on appointments, it's, oh, yeah, I know who you guys are, right?
Yep.
Big
Well, and he'd
difference.
interviewed against us on a couple listings. Of course, he lost before he was on the team. That didn't hurt. That
That's
definitely didn't hurt.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing too, is, let's use that listings is a great example. One of the things that you guys have been working on is getting those commissions up. And we can't talk specifically about commissions on a call like this because I don't want to get you in trouble with Sherman Antitrust Act. But what I will say is that that's a huge difference. When you bring somebody into your team, all of a sudden you're giving them that education. And so not only are they doing more transactions, but they're able to charge a lot more on each transaction. And now their profitability goes up, your profitability goes up, and they're like, man, I'm making way more money here than I was on my own, and I'm working less, and I'm way more profitable. Like it's night and day. So that's huge. So how many agents are on the team now total?
5.
And then
Four
you've got two in
currently,
the pipeline.
four currently working. We got one coming Monday, and one we don't know what. She's got health issues. She's on the team, but she can't work right now. So 5 right now, and we got a couple in the pipeline that are getting licensed.
So within the next 2 months, you will have effectively doubled your team size, and probably in the next
Yes.
6 months after that, you'll double it again, would be my
One,
assumption.
I'm just doing, again, I have the next interval in mind. Right now, I'm getting to 8, and then I'll figure out where to go from 8.
Yep. Good. Good. Well, and again, it'll take, like I said, 6 to 12 months for those guys to start being really productive and for those transactions to start showing
Our
up.
lead flow, our lead flow gets them going pretty quick.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
We have pretty good warm leads.
One of the things I'm going to suggest to you, if I can coach you just for a second, would be
Absolutely.
I want you to do what Austin's doing, which is get focus on, and I say focus on. You need buyer agents. Clearly, you've got great buyer lead flow. You need buyer agents because you
I
got,
only got one other listing agent right now.
and that's what I was going to suggest is for every four buyer agents you bring on, you want to bring on at least one good solid listing agent for every 4 to 5 buyer agents, and get that listing agent trained like Austin does it, right? Where he's got three guys that are brand new. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah, I know one of them. That was the one I was using for an example, had 8 in his
That
first
was
month.
and he's part that one. I want to say that one's part time. Don't quote me on that. He might be the full time one, but he's got two of them are full time or two of them are part time. One of them's full time. One of them got three listings. One of them got five. I think the one it wasn't eight. I think it was actually seven. Don't quote me on that. But long story short, this is not only these guys' first month on his team. This is their first month in the business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
by the way, they took all of those listings at double the commission most people are taking them. I say this because so many agents they're getting screwed in their head, right? They're mentally messing themselves up with these limiting beliefs. And what you got to realize is people don't care what you make; they care what they make. And so, you can charge whatever you want as long as
Show the
you're
value.
bringing the value and the
Yep.
seller is getting the value out of it. They don't care how much you charge. In fact, I talked to an agent, and you can't say this, but since I'm not an agent, I'll share this. I talked to an agent just the other day that told me, he says, Michael, I charged a $3 million seller 10% to sell their house. And that was listing side commission. That wasn't counting the buy side. And I looked at this guy and I'm like, dude, I thought I was charging
Yeah,
a lot.
you had some
You just blew my
cojones.
mind. Like
Yeah.
that really blew my mind. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I gotta change my limiting belief. And what's really cool about what's happening in the marketplace right now, and Jayson, I don't know if you've seen this, but I tell you what, I'm seeing it all over the country. This whole, lawsuit and settlement garbage and all this stuff. These guys were hoping real estate commissions were going to come down. All it did was weed out a lot of crappy agents, and the commissions I've seen all across the country are skyrocketing. They're all going up. In fact, most of them are getting close to, if not exceeding double what they were charging 2, 3 years ago. Have you seen some? I mean, I gotta be careful. I don't want to know what you charge or anything like that, but
No, I won't say what I
yeah.
charge. I haven't. I've seen in our market, people are desperate. They're desperate for the
You mean
business.
the agents are
So
desperate?
yeah, the agents are desperate.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they're doing what they have to do. Now, my brokerage absolutely loves us being in Club Wealth because we take these little tidbits and we come back and then when the other agents are complaining, well, we can't get transaction fee. That nobody will pay the transaction fee. And then the broker's like, well, Burtches are over there, and not only are they getting the transaction fee, they're getting 1.5% more than you're getting. So how are they doing? So, there is a lot of that limited belief, and you have to go in there and be confident in what you have.
To your point, though, I think a lot of those agents that you just described, I think a lot of those agents aren't going to be in the business in the next year or two. I mean, they're just,
Agreed. And they're scared, so they're going in with this belief that
yeah,
I'm already ready to cut it.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll cut mine, absolutely. But I'm going to cut mine from double down to still more than
right,
what you were charging.
yeah.
So
And that's
yeah,
the
and then
thing.
they feel like they won. Fine, I got the commission I wanted. You won. You negotiated me down.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we're also
and you get the
providing.
best agent out there.
I was just going to say, when you look at what we do compared to what
Yeah,
they do, I love being the second agent because, or even the third agent, because when we sit down and we're like, okay, this is our marketing plan, and it's boom, 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 boom. And the last agent, we got one right now. Just a joke what they do. They do nothing. And then they overprice the house, they overpromise, and then they can't sell it. And then you come in and they're like, wow, you do all of this? And it's
yeah.
easier to get an extra, I don't want to say number. It's easier to get extra when you show how much more you're doing that's going to get them more money. I mean, you have to ask, don't you agree that this type of exposure is going to get, more eyeballs on your home, therefore getting you more money?
I'm typing this in the chat because I want everybody to write this down, but hold on. Okay. So I want everybody to write this down. Price is only an issue in the absence of value. Right? I mean, think about this. Again, if there's enough value present, people will pay whatever you want for it. But you've got to bring the value. You've got to make
Mhm.
sure that, and again, this is why commissions are negotiable, right? We want commissions to be negotiable because I don't want. I would be mortified if we were required to charge a certain amount, right? Because that takes choice away from the consumer, and it also limits my ability to bring the extra value that's going to actually get them more money for their house. And so there's so much we could go down that rabbit hole, things like, simple things like, are you putting floor plans on all your listings, right? I mean, that's the number one most requested thing by a buyer. Most agents don't do that. Well, what's that worth? Well, a lot. I don't know what it's worth. I off the top of my head, I couldn't quantify it, but I can tell you that it's worth a lot. Staging is another one, right? Like staging is a huge, and homes sell. There's studies that prove homes sell faster and for more money when they're staged than when they're not.
Mhm.
What's that worth? I mean,
Yeah.
and if agents aren't doing this and you are, I mean, those are great examples of things that you can bring a lot more value. And more importantly, the more perceived value we can bring, right? So it needs to work clearly, but if the perception of value is higher than the cost of us providing that service, we can make that arbitrage. That's money that goes right into our pockets. And so
Yeah.
that's such a big deal. All right, so Jayson, tell me this. So you've got four people on your team. So how has it been running a four-person team so far?
Oh, we got four agents and then I guess three full-time admin right now. That was the delegation part. The more I delegated, the more help we needed. We had one admin, but yeah, now we have three admins, so it's really managing seven. And our market's been a struggle.
Hmm.
There's no doubt about it. We've had three hurricanes in 3 years. Florida's always kind of up and down anyways. And if you look, I don't care which study you look at, realtor.com, any of them, our market is every city around us is in the top 10 worst markets in the country. So it's been keeping them engaged. We've been having to expand. We expand more lead sources, more lead sources, more lead sources, and more work. We are putting in the hours. I told them this is going to be challenging, but only a certain amount of people are going to make it through this, and those who do are going to
Yep.
catapult out of it. It's,
Dude, I love the way you describe that because you're so right. Here's the thing. This market's going to change. And when it changes, the people that remain, their business is going to skyrocket. And I'll tell you, especially those agents that are doing, 2 to 10 deals a year, they're going to double their business when the market shifts, right? Like guys like you and me, we're not going to double our business, but we're going to substantially increase the amount of business we're doing because it's a lot more difficult to go from 500 deals a year to 1,000 deals a year than it is to
yeah.
go from 3 deals a year to six, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, they are going to catapult out of it. You're not wrong there at all.
And let's celebrate it.
Yeah.
We're the worst. You can't be the worst forever. Florida always comes back. People aren't going to quit moving to Florida. We've got some tax issues we got to straighten out, a little bit of insurance stuff. And when these rates drop,
Think.
we have the biggest issue our buyers agents are having is that people are interested. They want to know all about the house. They may even let you do a virtual showing, but they're not ready to buy. Everybody's waiting and waiting. But I said, all this stuff's going to pop at one time. All of a sudden, you're going to have. So don't give up on them. Keep doing whatever they're asking. Keep in contact. Don't be crazy about, showing 10 houses that somebody ain't going to buy. But stay in contact, and all of this stuff is going to pop. We have a huge shadow demand that's just waiting to go.
Well, and frankly, I think that's going to get unlocked when rates come down, and rates will come down. It's just a matter of when. I think, it's interesting. I was talking to Austin the other day, and he had a conversation with Robert Palmer, who owns
Yeah.
LPT. And Robert, I think, really brought up a great point, and that is that, he's thinking that, this next year we're going to see kind of a little false increase, right? We're going to see a little step up in transaction count and all that. But that's not going to be the big boom. It's going to be the following year for the big boom. And I think that's very, very possible. Right now you've got Powell and Trump, apparently don't get along very well. Jeez, dude, they're as bad as Israel and Iran, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm surprised those two aren't lobbing nukes at each other. But dude, I mean, seriously, this guy doesn't want to lower interest rates. It's like he even said a year ago, he said,
Every
well,
metric he's said that we've met. But
literally, he said, as soon as we're at 2.1% inflation, we'll lower rates. Well, we're there. We're
yeah,
there. And he
for
still
what,
won't
five
lower
months
rates.
now.
Dude, I
So
think he's just doing it to piss Trump off, frankly.
yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
and I look, I don't, well, that's not true. I do care about politics, but I mean, at the end of the day, my frustration is rates need to come down, and they will at some point. Who knows when that's going to
We build out our structures. That was the other thing that was really important to us before we
happen.
had the agents. We were getting the leads ramped up, and then we built out the infrastructure with the second transaction coordinator who's trained as the agents are coming in, so that you don't, and you're not trying to build the 6-lane highway where there's already traffic on it. We've already built out the 6-lane highway. Now we'll provide the traffic. We have marketing director that can take over, and now we have a third ISA that, I'm sorry, a VA that's on an as needed that knows all of our systems. We just here take care of this, take care of that as the other girls get overloaded. So we've kind of built out the structure for that. We know it's coming. It's just a matter of when.
Yep.
And if we gotta, our numbers are a little tight in the meantime, then so be it. But we know it's coming.
Well, and two, now that you're putting a renewed focus on recruiting as you recruit and as your team grows, that your volume will tick up, and it'll catch you by surprise. And not only that, you'll lose people from time to time. One of your admins, she's going to decide to move to Dominican Republic or whatever. So there's a million things can happen in a business.
Oh,
So, being prepared for that volume is not a bad thing. All right, so I want you to speak to the tier twos of the world out there right now. So if I'm doing 25 to 75 transactions a year, what do I need to do to get to tier three like Jayson Burtch?
where he struggles.
Lead generation, lead
I've got a
lead
couple. I was going to
conversion.
say it's funny. I've got two clients right now, and they're the opposite ends of the world. One of them doesn't have enough leads, and so we're building out her. She hadn't even signed up for any of the 31 free lead sources that are the card on the thing. So we have her doing that. The other client I've got in tier two right now, we were going through her average number, and I thought the AI picked it up wrong because I saw her sales price and I saw her average commission. And I thought that the AI misunderstood something. No, but 92% of her business is coming from referral sources. So she's paying on average a 35% out, and then she's got a 20% broker split. Yeah. I'm like, how are we selling houses at this and only getting this? And then she explained, I'm like, no, 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 no. We need to get back. We need to build out she didn't have a Google profile built out. So let's build out the Google profile to start with so we can get some organic. Let's start building out an SOI base. Let's start doing some customer appreciation parties. Let's start building out or more organic so we can get that back to a 50-50 even split. So those are the two things. The other thing we're adding in with the one that already has the leads is she's doing too much of her transaction coordination. I said, you're doing what you could be paying somebody $8 an hour for, and it's costing you $300 an hour type of time.
Yep.
So we're working on building out her using a VA for her marketing and her transaction coordination. And she's time blocking it all out right now so we can calculate exactly how many hours she's spending so we can get a VA for that amount of hours because she got a low budget. And then we can get her that VA to open up more time for the prospecting of SOI, sphere of influence, for sale by owners and expireds.
See, this right here is exactly why you need a coach who's been where you were recently. Because you are easily able to look at that in her business and realize, yeah, I can identify the problems. And it's in two different clients, two different problems, right?
Yep.
This one over here, you can really identify these problems. This one, you're identifying these. This is a big reason why we structured Club Wealth the way we did. And by the way, we're the only coaching company on the planet that is structured that way.
Yeah.
And which cracks me up. I've never
It's more
understood.
challenging to do it that way, Mike. So nobody else wants. Yeah.
It's more expensive. It's more challenging. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the logistics of it are insane.
Yeah.
And the
You got
and
to be
it's.
crazy to try something like that. So,
I mean, there's no question we'd be wildly more profitable if we did it the way these other coaches do it. But if we just,
find the agents who are stepping out of the business and use their previous experience to coach people.
well,
But
and that's like most of these other coaching companies out there, their agents don't even have any level of experience, really. I mean, you got guys, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there's coaching companies out there where their coaches have never sold real estate. They're reading from a book, or they've never sold more than 10, 12 transactions in a year. And it's like, dude, what in that world is that guy going to share with me that I don't already know?
And so much of this isn't so much of what my coach helps me with is mental.
Yeah.
I would say after 24 years, a lot of it, it's funny too, because she'll tell me and I can finish her sentence. I know it's coming and I needed to hear it. And I go, it's kind of funny to know things and have to hear it from somebody else. And she tells me, welcome to coaching, but you need to hear it from somebody else. But it's mental aspects of agents who are also doing that. And you can understand and appreciate more. Okay, now she's doing twice my business and running a bigger team, and she's still having these challenges. This is mentally possible for one. And then two, yes, you're going to have this challenge. This is how you can address it. You have to watch out for this. And to me, that's one of the biggest things is people burn out. They get successful and then the trials, and they can't make it through the trials.
Like you're absolutely
Having that helping hand or that figurative hug, that, hey, we all go through this has been huge for me.
It matters because it gives you hope, right? It gives you hope that, hey, look, if she can get through that, I can get through that. If she can do
We're
it,
all in our
I
own
can.
bubble. Again, we were just talking about we're the oddballs. Those of us who are doing a certain amount of business in our market, there's only 4 or 5. Most of them don't want to communicate with you because they're too competitive instead of collaborative. So
Yep.
you don't know how the other people are having these challenges. Like you said, the Instagram life. But
That's
to hear,
right.
okay, you're having this problem too. And we can talk about it. And a lot of times just talking about something can get you through it.
I agree. Well, Jayson, any last advice for anybody at any level in real estate? What final advice would you give them today?
It sounds self-serving, but getting coaching. Getting coaching. Individual agents, we did a post on this last week. Get on a team. Either get on a team or start a team. There's just so much leverage. You're going to get left behind if you're not.
It's so funny you say that. I say that all the time. And, you literally you shave a decade off your learning curve by joining a team. And again, you don't have to be the team leader to make really great money in this business. In fact, for most people, I wouldn't even recommend they be a team leader. I mean, frankly, being a team leader is a different type of a role, right? It's not even it's people think, oh, the best agents make the best team leaders. That's not always true.
No.
It's not. It's a very different leadership is a very different role.
That was the biggest challenge for me because what got me here won't get me there. And yeah, managing people, I can do business all day long. That's easy. The fact that handling these little issues with agents and letting them go through some pain without just stepping in and fixing it, it's a whole nother animal.
It really is. But that being said, we'll teach you guys how to do it. So, for those of you that are watching, reach out to Club Wealth. Go to clubwealth.com/strategy session, and we'll do a free coaching call with you. We'll do one time per year. Anybody that wants to can do a free coaching call with Club Wealth. And, like I said, it's one time per year. Okay. And the reason for that is because we don't have the bandwidth to do free calls, all the time for more than that.
One of the things I think you leave out often, Mike, that you don't realize is a big deal is the no contract. You call every other coaching group, and it was actually why I picked you guys. I loved you guys. I saw on Club Wealth on Facebook, but I was interviewing 3 or 4 different coaching programs. You were the only one that didn't require, you stood behind what you did. And I'm like, well, if it doesn't work, then I'll just cancel. Well, I'm here 4 years later, so it obviously worked. But that's a huge thing to me because why should I have to make a $5,000, $10,000 commitment to find out if your product's any good?
That's right. I agree. 100%. I'm glad you brought that up. I appreciate that. And you're right. And the guarantee too, a lot of people miss the guarantee, right? If you, in your first year coaching with us, if you don't actually, if you do what we're suggesting you do and you don't actually make an extra $100,000, we'll just give you your money back. And guess how many people have ever asked us for their money back since 2014?
Not standing behind your product.
Yeah. And nobody's asked us to run the money back because at the end of the day, it works. And it works because we've got really great coaches. We've got a really good ecosystem. And when I say ecosystem, there's so many moving parts to this, right? You've got the coach is a very important part. And then you've got the masterminds calls is a very important part. Then you got the technology is a very important part. Then you've got the events are a very important part. Like there's just all these, and there's a ton of other moving pieces that really, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, right? I mean, it takes this massive ecosystem to raise a world-class real estate agent that actually gets to be with their family as well.
But like you were saying, we got Google specialists. We got people that'll help you, and they'll get on a call with you. And 30 minutes later, you're on the phone. You'll put something in. 30 minutes later, you're on the phone call, and they're helping you with your Google page. We got people that do great podcasts. We have people, and all of them are willing to help.
Yep.
It makes a world of difference.
Well, Jayson, if people want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Cell phone 941-626-5432. The Burtch team. You can find us on Google, Instagram, Facebook. We've got all of it.
And you're serving all of Southwest Florida, essentially, right?
We serve all of Southwest Florida. Yes, sir.
Good stuff. Well, Jayson, I really appreciate you taking the time to be
Thanks
on.
for having me, Mike. It was an honor.
Awesome, man. Well, I will see you on the coaches call here coming up. And by the way, got something special for you on the coaches call. I can't wait.
All right.
Yeah,
sounds good, bud. Look forward to it. Appreciate you, Mike.
You bet. Bye-bye. Club Wealth is the only coaching company on the planet that will literally guarantee that you will double your income or make at least an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us, or we will give you 100% of your investment back. Click the link below, sign up for the appropriate tier level, and let's get you a strategy session today. And I promise you, I 100% guarantee you, promise you that you will walk away with a heart full of gratitude for the time that we took for you, because you got so much value out of that call. Schedule your strategy session today. I promise you'll be glad you did.